October 14th, 1942, the Barricade gun factory, Stalingrad. 0647 hours. Oberfeldwebel Heinz Thorwald adjusted his position in the rubble of the shattered factory workshop, his carabiner 98K rifle resting on a carefully constructed brick support. Through his Zeiss ZF-42 4X scope, he observed Soviet positions across the debris-strewn courtyard, watching for the telltale movements that marked inexperienced soldiers, the ones who thought rubble provided safety, who believed themselves invisible in ruins. Movement, second floor, far building. His spotter, Gefreiter Klaus Zimmermann, whispered. Window with the torn curtain, soldier exposing head while observing our lines. Thorwald tracked smoothly to the indicated position. A Soviet rifleman was indeed visible, too much of his head exposed while he scanned German positions. The distance was approximately 350 meters, an easy shot for a marksman who had been killing at Stalingrad for 6 weeks. The carabiner 98K fired with familiar precision. Through the scope, Thorwald watched the Soviet soldier's head snap back, the body disappearing from the window. Kill number 247, by his careful count, marked meticulously in the small notebook he carried. He was on track to exceed 300 kills before the city fell, a tally that would place him among the top snipers of the Eastern Front. Confirmed, Zimmermann noted quietly, scanning for additional targets. The Ivans still haven't learned. They expose themselves like it's peacetime training. This is shooting fish in a barrel. What Thorwald didn't know, what none of the German snipers operating in Stalingrad's ruins could have anticipated, was that at that precise moment, across the Volga River at Soviet headquarters, Red Army Command was implementing a systematic response to the sniper threat. A young chief petty officer from the Soviet Pacific Fleet, Vasily Grigorievich Zaitsev, had just been appointed to organize and train Soviet counter-sniper groups after demonstrating remarkable skill in urban combat. Within 10 days, Zaitsev's hunters would begin systematically eliminating the German snipers who thought themselves invincible in Stalingrad's ruins. The German marksmen who had killed hundreds would themselves become hunted, their positions identified, their patterns analyzed, their lives ended by Soviet snipers trained specifically to destroy them. The shooting gallery was about to reverse, and the hunters were about to discover what it felt like to be prey. This story is about how individual skill met systematic training, how German sniper supremacy based on peacetime marksmanship was defeated by Soviet counter-sniper doctrine developed in combat, and how Vasily Zaitsev transformed from a single-skilled shooter into the architect of a system that killed the killers. The German snipers who boasted of hundreds of kills would learn that high body counts meant nothing against organized hunter-killer groups designed specifically to eliminate them. German sniper operations at Stalingrad emerged from traditional Prussian marksmanship culture combined with brutal urban combat necessity. The Wehrmacht had maintained sniper training programs since the 1930s, emphasizing individual marksmanship, camouflage, and patience. Officers selected for sniper duty were typically experienced hunters, skilled shooters from civilian life who understood stalking and precision shooting. When the Sixth Army entered Stalingrad in September 1942, the city's ruins provided perfect sniper terrain. Factory districts reduced to rubble offered unlimited hides, firing positions with overlapping fields of fire, and approaches concealed in destruction. Soviet defenders, many of them hastily mobilized civilians with minimal training, provided target-rich environment for skilled marksmen. Oberst Wilhelm Sauer, commanding the 24th Panzer Division sniper section, recognized Stalingrad's potential immediately. His September 15th operational directive to divisional snipers outlined the opportunity. The urban terrain favors defensive marksmanship. Soviet forces must cross open areas to reach defensive positions. Their inexperience shows in poor fieldcraft, excessive movement, inadequate camouflage, predictable patterns. Skilled marksmen can achieve extraordinary results, implement aggressive sniper operations throughout the division sector. The German sniper community at Stalingrad included numerous highly skilled marksmen. Oberfeldwebel Heinz Thorwald, a Bavarian hunting guide in civilian life, adapted his stalking skills to urban ruins effortlessly. SS Hauptscharführer Erwin König, serving with the 3rd Motorized Division, was reputedly a former director of the Zossen Sniper School. Feldwebel Bruno Sulzer, from Hamburg, had been a competitive marksman before the war. These men brought professional discipline to their deadly work. They maintained detailed logbooks noting kills, ranges, conditions, and target descriptions. They developed urban camouflage techniques specifically for rubble, mixing brick dust into uniforms, creating hides from debris that blended perfectly with surroundings. They studied Soviet patterns, learning schedules, identifying command posts, targeting officers and NCOs preferentially. The equipment they employed was among the finest in any army. The Karabiner 98K rifle, standard Wehrmacht service rifle, was fitted with precision ZF-39 or ZF-42 telescopic sights manufactured by Zeiss or Hensoldt. These optics, produced to exacting standards by German optical industry, provided clear 4x magnification and reliable adjustment. The rifle itself, descended from the Gewehr 98 that armed German forces in World War I, was accurate to 800 meters in skilled hands. German snipers at Stalingrad developed tactics specifically for the urban environment. The standard operating procedure involved establishing multiple hides in a sector, rotating positions to avoid counter-sniper detection. Shooting schedules were irregular, sometimes multiple shots in minutes if opportunities presented, sometimes hours of patience waiting for high-value targets. Target selection followed a deliberate hierarchy. Officers first, identified by uniform details or leadership behavior. NCOs second, recognized by giving orders. Communications personnel carrying radios or field telephones. And weapon crews, particularly machine gunners and mortar teams. Individual riflemen were lowest priority unless no other targets presented themselves. The psychological impact of German snipers on Soviet forces was devastating. Soviet soldiers learned that crossing open ground meant death, that exposing oneself at windows was suicide, that being visible for even seconds could be fatal. Soviet Lieutenant Anatoly Kozlov, commanding an infantry platoon defending the Red October factory in October 1942, described the terror in his diary. October 10th. Lost 3 men today to German snipers. Popov was shot through the head while moving between positions, crossed an alley at run and was killed mid-stride. Grachev died retrieving ammunition from exposed position. Kuznetsov was hit while observing German lines from rubble pile. I specifically told him provided insufficient cover. The German snipers are invisible, impossibly patient, and lethally accurate. My men are terrified to move during daylight. We conduct most operations at night now, but even darkness offers no complete safety. They sometimes shoot at sounds or shadows. Morale is collapsing. How do we fight an enemy we cannot see? The statistical impact of German sniper operations was substantial. Soviet 62nd Army, defending Stalingrad under General Vasily Chuikov's command, was losing approximately 50-70 men daily to sniper fire by early October. These casualties, while representing small percentage of total losses compared to artillery and air attacks, had disproportionate psychological effect. Soldiers could take cover from artillery, could understand large-scale combat, but individual invisible death from single bullet created terror that statistics didn't capture. German sniper logs, recovered from bodies and captured positions, revealed the scale of individual achievements. Thorvald's notebook, found after his death in November 1942, documented 247 confirmed kills between September 10th and November 3rd, an average of over 4 kills daily. SS Hauptscharführer König was credited with over 400 kills during his Eastern Front service, though exact Stalingrad totals were unclear. These numbers, meticulously recorded and verified by spotters, represented genuine marksmanship achievement. Unlike inflated claims sometimes made in combat, German sniper logs generally reflected actual confirmed kills, bodies observed, targets clearly hit. The verification process involved spotter confirmation and often photographic documentation. The German confidence in sniper superiority extended beyond individual marksmen to systematic doctrine. Wehrmacht training emphasized that snipers were force multipliers, individual soldiers whose psychological impact exceeded their kill counts. A single sniper could paralyze entire enemy units through fear, deny terrain through threat, and disrupt operations through targeting leaders and specialists. General Oberst Friedrich Paulus, commanding 6th Army at Stalingrad, noted sniper effectiveness in his October situation reports to Army Group South. Sniper operations prove highly effective in urban combat. Enemy forces demonstrate reluctance to move in observed areas. Our marksmen achieve favorable casualty ratios while requiring minimal support. Sniper sections report over 2,000 confirmed kills in 3 weeks. Recommend expanding sniper employment throughout urban combat zones. But Soviet forces were not remaining passive victims. Red Army commanders, recognizing the sniper threat, began implementing countermeasures. The breakthrough came through a young naval infantryman who had arrived at Stalingrad in late September with exceptional shooting skills developed hunting deer and wolves in the Ural Mountains. Vasily Zaitsev had grown up in the village of Yeleninskoye in the Ural Mountains, where survival meant hunting. He learned to shoot with his grandfather's rifle at age 12, developing skills through necessity. Failed shots meant hunger. By age 19, he could shoot running wolves at 300 meters, foxes at 400. When war came, these skills translated directly to military service. Assigned to the Soviet Pacific Fleet, Zaitsev was transferred to Stalingrad in September 1942 as the battle intensified. Initially serving as a regular rifleman, he quickly demonstrated extraordinary marksmanship during the defense of Red Square in the city center. On September 22nd, during a single German assault, Zaitsev killed 11 enemy soldiers with 11 shots, each a headshot at ranges exceeding 200 meters. His company commander, Captain Nikolai Batrak, recognized exceptional talent and reported Zaitsev to divisional headquarters. The Soviet 284th Rifle Division desperately needed effective counter-sniper capability. German snipers were killing Soviet soldiers with impunity. Traditional infantry responses, suppressive fire, artillery, mortars, proved ineffective against concealed individual marksmen. Divisional Commander Colonel Nikolai Batchuk summoned Zaitsev to headquarters on September 28th. The interview, recorded in Soviet military archives, was brief and direct. "How many Germans have you killed?" Batchuk asked. 32, Comrade Colonel," Zaitsev replied. "All confirmed. With how many shots?" 32 shots, Comrade Colonel." Batchuk studied the young chief petty officer. "Can you kill German snipers?" "Yes, Comrade Colonel. They are overconfident. They reveal themselves through patterns. I can hunt them." "Then you will hunt them. You will also train others to hunt them. The fascist snipers believe themselves invisible and invincible. You will prove them wrong." Zaitsev received a Mosin Nagant, model 1891 Chist 30 rifle with PE-4X telescopic sight and orders to begin counter-sniper operations immediately. He was assigned a spotter, fellow naval infantryman Nikolai Kulikov, and given authorization to recruit additional hunters for training. The methodology Zaitsev developed for hunting German snipers combined his wilderness hunting experience with systematic observation of enemy patterns. He began by studying German sniper psychology rather than just searching ruins randomly. "German snipers are skilled but predictable," Zaitsev explained to his first trainees on October 1st. "They are professionals who learned in schools. This means they follow doctrine, use established techniques, create hides according to training. We can identify these patterns and exploit them." First principle: German snipers reuse successful positions. They find a good hide, achieve kills, then return to it later. They believe changing positions constantly is more dangerous than establishing multiple proven hides. This creates patterns we can detect. Second principle: German snipers operate on schedules. They observe our routines and establish their own routines matching ours. Morning activity, afternoon lull, evening activity. They become predictable. Third principle, German snipers are overconfident. They have killed hundreds of poorly trained soldiers. They believe Soviet forces lack competent marksmen. They underestimate us. This is their fatal weakness. The first major success of Zaitsev's counter-sniper operations came on October 15th, one day after Thorvald's morning kill at the Barakati factory. Zaitsev had been observing German positions near the Lazur chemical plant, noting sniper fire patterns. He identified a hide being used repeatedly, a collapsed section of factory wall with firing aperture perfectly positioned to cover Soviet approaches. Zaitsev established his own position before dawn on October 15th, concealed in rubble 400 meters from the suspected German hide. His spotter, Kulikov, observed from a secondary position, providing different angle of observation. They waited motionless for 7 hours as morning passed without German sniper activity. At 14:25 hours, subtle movement appeared in the suspected hide, barely visible, just shifting shadows that untrained observer would miss. Zaitsev watched through his scope, waiting for clear target. Minutes passed. Then a German helmet appeared briefly, followed by withdrawal. Testing for reaction. Zaitsev didn't fire. The German was checking whether the position was under observation before fully exposing himself. Firing would reveal Zaitsev's position without guaranteeing kill. Patience was essential. 20 minutes later, the German sniper settled into firing position, rifle barrel visible, scope glinting faintly in afternoon light. Still, Zaitsev waited. The target was partially obscured by rubble. A shot might wound, but probably wouldn't kill, and wounded sniper would escape while revealing Zaitsev's position. Then Soviet soldier ran across open ground 150 meters from the German position, either brave or foolish, moving during daylight. The German sniper tracked the runner, preparing to fire. As he adjusted aim, he exposed more of his head and shoulder through the firing aperture. Zaitsev fired immediately. The 7.62 cal 54mm round crossed 400 meters in less than half a second and struck the German sniper through the temple. Through the scope, Zaitsev observed the target collapse backward, weapon falling from lifeless hands. Kulikov confirmed from his position. Clean kill, target down, no movement. They remained in position for 2 more hours, watching for the sniper's partner. German snipers often operated in pairs, no additional target presented. At dusk, they withdrew, marking the German position for later investigation. The following day, Soviet scouts reached the German hide and recovered the body of Gefreiter Hans Ploner, attached to the 305th Infantry Division. His logbook documented 124 confirmed kills at Stalingrad. His carabiner 98K, with ZF-39 scope, manufactured to precision standards that Soviet industry couldn't match, was sent to Soviet headquarters as war trophy before being given to Zaitsev as replacement for his Mosin Nagant. This success established the template for Zaitsev's counter-sniper methodology. Between October 15th and October 25th, his group killed 7 more German snipers using systematic observation, pattern analysis, and patient stalking. Each kill followed similar procedure: identify hide through pattern observation, establish concealed firing position, wait for target exposure, execute single precise shot, confirm kill, withdraw. The impact extended beyond the kills themselves. German snipers, accustomed to operating with impunity, suddenly faced deadly threat. Positions that had been safe were compromised. Patterns that had been successful became fatal. The psychological advantage reversed. Oberfeldwebel Heinz Thorvald noted the changed environment in his log on October 22nd. Soviet counter-sniper activity increasing. Lost Ploner, Richter, and Müller to enemy marksmen in past week. The Russians have deployed skilled snipers who understand our tactics. Must increase caution. vary patterns more frequently, limit time in any single position. But Thorvald's caution came too late. Zaitsev's group had already identified him as high-value target through intercepted radio traffic and prisoner interrogation. Thorvald's position near the Barakati factory had been under observation for 3 days. On October 24th, Zaitsev and Kulikov established position before dawn in the wreckage of a factory chimney, concealed among bricks with excellent observation of Thorvald's known hides. They waited throughout the morning without movement. At 11:30 hours, Zaitsev detected subtle displacement of debris in Thorvald's primary hide, movement so slight that only experienced hunter would notice. Through his scope, he observed the hide carefully, looking for definitive target. Thorvald, demonstrating the caution that had kept him alive through 6 weeks of combat, exposed only his rifle barrel and minimal scope. He was observing Soviet positions but maintaining concealment discipline. Zaitsev couldn't achieve killing shot without more exposure. Zaitsev signaled Kulikov, who withdrew carefully to a predetermined position and created deliberate movement, hat on stick, raised briefly above rubble line. The decoy was crude but calculated. Would experienced German sniper take obvious bait? Thorvald tracked the movement but didn't fire. Too obvious, but his attention focused on Kulikov's position, and in doing so, he shifted slightly, exposing more of his head and shoulder. Zaitsev's shot struck Thorvald through the neck, severing the carotid artery. The German sniper collapsed, killed instantly. His logbook, recovered later, documented 247 kills, one of the highest confirmed totals at Stalingrad. The elimination of experienced German snipers like Thorvald had cascading effects. German sniper operations became more cautious, reducing effectiveness. Replacement snipers lacked experience of the veterans. Soviet forces gained confidence as the invisible enemy became vulnerable. But Zaitsev's greatest contribution wasn't his individual kills, it was the training program he established. Recognizing that individual efforts, however successful, couldn't address the sniper threat systematically, he organized formal counter-sniper school within 284th Rifle Division. The school, approved by General Chuikov on October 27th, began training selected soldiers in precision shooting, urban camouflage, stalking, and specifically in hunting enemy snipers. Classes ran continuously, producing graduate hunters who were immediately deployed to counter German marksmen. Zaitsev's curriculum emphasized mental discipline over pure marksmanship. Any soldier can be taught to shoot accurately, he instructed trainees. What separates successful sniper from dead soldier is patience, observation, and understanding enemy psychology. You must think like your target, predict his actions, position yourself where he will appear, and wait however long necessary for the kill shot. The training included practical exercises in rubble warfare, constructing hides that blended perfectly with ruins, moving through debris without creating sound or visible disturbance, identifying enemy positions through minimal clues, and maintaining motionless patience for hours in uncomfortable positions. By November 1942, the 284th Rifle Division had trained 28 counter-snipers using Zaitsev's methods. These hunters were deployed specifically against German snipers, operating in pairs, sharing intelligence about enemy positions and patterns. The systematic approach proved devastatingly effective. Soviet sniper logs from November documented the results. German sniper kills, which had been running 50-70 Soviet soldiers daily in early October, dropped to 20-30 by mid-November. Conversely, Soviet counter-sniper kills increased from near zero to 15-20 German snipers weekly. The casualty exchange had reversed. The most famous episode of Zaitsev's sniper career, the duel with SS Hauptscharführer Erwin König, has been embellished through decades of retelling, particularly in the 2001 film Enemy at the Gates. Historical evidence for König's existence is contested, and the dramatic 5-day duel may be partially or wholly mythologized propaganda. What is documented is that between November 1st and November 10th, Zaitsev engaged in systematic counter-sniper operations that killed 3 highly skilled German marksmen in the Mamayev-Kurgan sector. Soviet military records confirm these kills. Whether one of these Germans was specifically Koenig, whether he was sniper school director, whether the duel occurred as described, these details remain historically uncertain. What matters strategically is that Soviet counter-sniper operations systematically degraded German sniper effectiveness through targeted elimination of skilled marksmen. Whether through individual dramatic duels or through methodical hunting, the outcome was identical. German sniper supremacy was broken. By December 1942, Soviet sniper training had expanded beyond individual divisions to army-level programs. The 62nd Army established formal sniper school under Zaitsev's direction, producing trained counter-snipers at scale. The curriculum, refined through combat experience, created hunters specifically educated to kill enemy marksmen. The Soviet approach differed fundamentally from German methodology. German snipers were individual specialists, carefully selected and extensively trained before deployment. Soviet system mass-produced competent counter-snipers through accelerated programs focused on specific urban combat skills. Quality per individual might be lower, but quantity and systematic deployment proved more effective. German forces noticed the transformation. General Oberst Paulus's December status reports noted declining sniper effectiveness. Enemy counter-sniper operations have increased substantially. Our marksmen report being targeted specifically, suffering casualties, and operating under greater constraint. The freedom of action previously enjoyed has been curtailed. Recommend reducing sniper exposure and implementing improved concealment discipline. The final months of the Stalingrad battle saw German sniper operations reduced to minimal effectiveness. Soviet counter-snipers hunted them aggressively. The rubble that had favored German defenders now concealed Soviet hunters, and the psychological advantage had reversed completely. Zaitsev himself was wounded by mortar fire on January 10, 1943, suffering severe eye injuries that required evacuation. His personal kill count at that point totaled 225 confirmed kills, substantially lower than some German snipers' totals, but achieved while simultaneously organizing systematic counter-sniper operations that killed or neutralized dozens of German marksmen. The Soviet counter-sniper program Zaitsev established continued operating after his evacuation. By February 1943, when the remnants of 6th Army surrendered, Soviet 62nd Army had trained over 150 counter-snipers using his methods. These hunters had killed an estimated 400-plus German snipers and marksmen, effectively eliminating the threat that had terrorized Soviet forces in September and October. The post-war accounting of Stalingrad's sniper war revealed the transformation completely. German snipers had entered the battle with confidence based on superior training, equipment, and initial results. They killed thousands of Soviet soldiers and created psychological terror through invisible precision, but Soviet systematic response, driven by Zaitsev's methodology and replicated through training programs, destroyed German sniper effectiveness through targeted hunter-killer operations. The individual German marksman, however skilled, couldn't withstand organized Soviet counter-sniper doctrine specifically designed to eliminate them. Among the German snipers captured at Stalingrad in February 1943 was Feldwebel Bruno Sulzer, who had survived the battle despite losing numerous colleagues to Soviet counter-snipers. His interrogation by Soviet intelligence, recorded in NKVD archives, provided insight into German perspective on their defeat. When we arrived in September, Stalingrad was sniper paradise. Ruins everywhere, Soviet soldiers poorly trained, targets abundant. I killed 89 men in the first month, mostly easy shots against soldiers who exposed themselves carelessly. By November, everything changed. Soviet snipers appeared, competent marksmen who understood urban tactics. They hunted us specifically. Positions we had used successfully became death traps. Patterns we relied on were identified and exploited. Friends died to precise shots from concealed Soviet marksmen. Most disturbing was realizing the Soviets had studied us systematically. They knew our doctrine, anticipated our techniques, positioned themselves where we would eventually appear. The hunters had become hunted. The city that was shooting gallery in September became cemetery by December. Oberfeldwebel Thorvald's commander, Oberst Wilhelm Sauer, survived Stalingrad and was captured during the final surrender. His May 1943 interrogation addressed the sniper situation directly. Our sniper operations at Stalingrad were initially highly effective. Men like Thorvald, Koenig, and others killed hundreds through skill and patience. We believed Soviet forces lacked capability to respond effectively to trained marksmen. The turning point came in late October when Soviet counter-snipers appeared, clearly trained, systematically deployed, specifically hunting our marksmen. These weren't random lucky shooters. They were educated hunters using doctrine designed to eliminate snipers. The most effective, from intelligence we gathered, was Zaitsev. Not because his individual kill count exceeded ours, several of our men had higher totals, but because he created a system. He trained others. He shared methodology. He turned sniper hunting into organized operation rather than individual skill contest. German doctrine emphasized individual sniper excellence. Soviet response emphasized systematic counter-sniper operations. When individual skill met organized system, the system won. Our snipers, however talented, were eliminated methodically by trained Soviet hunters operating in coordinated groups. This represents broader lesson about Eastern Front. German tactical excellence repeatedly defeated by Soviet systemic approaches. We had better individual soldiers, superior training, more precise equipment. They had greater numbers, systematic methodology, and willingness to learn from combat experience. In prolonged conflict, their advantages proved decisive. Vasily Zaitsev recovered from his wounds and returned to combat in 1943, eventually achieving official total of 242 confirmed kills. After the war, he worked as factory engineer in Kiev until his death in 1991. His burial at Mamayev Kurgan in Volgograd, formerly Stalingrad, in 2006, following his expressed wishes, recognized his status as one of the Soviet Union's most famous snipers. But Zaitsev's historical significance extended beyond his personal kill count. The counter-sniper training program he established at Stalingrad became template for Soviet sniper doctrine throughout the war. The methodology of systematic observation, pattern analysis, and patient stalking that he taught was replicated in sniper schools across the Red Army. Soviet sniper operations from 1943-1945 reflected Zaitsev's influence. The emphasis shifted from individual marksmen achieving high kill counts to systematic counter-sniper operations designed to eliminate enemy marksmen. The hunter-killer group methodology, where sniper and spotter worked together to identify and eliminate specific high-value targets, became standard Soviet practice. Post-war Soviet military analysis credited Zaitsev's systematic approach with transforming sniper operations from individual specialist activity to organized military function. The 1948 Red Army Field Manual on Sniper Operations incorporated lessons directly from Stalingrad, including specific chapters on counter-sniper operations based on Zaitsev's methods. Modern historical scholarship has examined the Zaitsev legend critically, distinguishing verified facts from embellishments. British historian David Glantz noted in his comprehensive Stalingrad study, "The historical Zaitsev was important less for individual achievements than for systematizing Soviet counter-sniper operations. The romantic notion of lone heroic sniper duels obscures the reality. Stalingrad's sniper war was won through organized training programs, producing competent hunters who eliminated German marksmen methodically." Russian military historian Alexei Isayev's analysis emphasized systematic factors. German snipers at Stalingrad achieved impressive individual statistics, but operated within doctrine emphasizing individual specialist excellence. Soviet response, driven initially by Zaitsev but rapidly expanded to institutional level, created systematic counter-sniper capability that degraded German effectiveness through targeted elimination and forced constraint on remaining marksmen. The German approach was artisanal. The Soviet approach was industrial. At the Stalingrad Panorama Museum, exhibits document both sides of the sniper war. Captured German sniper rifles with their precision, Zeiss optics are displayed alongside Soviet Mosin Nagant rifles with cruder PE scopes. The equipment disparity is obvious. German rifles were objectively superior, but the exhibit's narrative explains that equipment quality proved less decisive than systematic doctrine. Soviet rifles, while inferior individually, were deployed within organized training and operational framework that identified, tracked, and eliminated German snipers methodically. Superior equipment couldn't overcome systematic tactical disadvantage. The museum's placard on Zaitsev notes, Chief Petty Officer Vasily Zaitsev's primary contribution was not his 242 confirmed kills, but his establishment of counter-sniper training that transformed Soviet sniper operations from defensive casualties to offensive hunter-killer groups. His methodology, refined at Stalingrad and replicated throughout the Red Army, shifted sniper warfare from individual duels to systematic operations. October 14, 1942. Oberfeldwebel Heinz Thorwald, positioned in the Barakati factory ruins, executing his 247th kill with confident precision. German snipers dominated Stalingrad's ruins through superior training, better equipment, and accumulated hundreds of kills. Soviet soldiers died without seeing their killers, terrorized by invisible marksmen who struck with impunity. 10 days later, Thorwald was dead, killed by Vasily Zaitsev's precisely aimed shot after being identified through systematic pattern observation. Within 6 weeks, the German sniper threat that had seemed insurmountable was broken, not by matching German individual excellence, but by creating systematic counter-sniper operations that hunted the hunters. The German snipers, who boasted 400-plus kills, learned that high body counts meant nothing against organized doctrine designed specifically to eliminate them. Individual skill, however impressive, couldn't withstand systematic hunter-killer groups trained to identify patterns, observe patiently, and execute killing shots against overconfident marksmen who believed themselves invincible. Zaitsev's 242 kills were fewer than some German totals, but his creation of systematic counter-sniper training that eliminated dozens of German marksmen while protecting thousands of Soviet soldiers proved vastly more significant than any individual achievement. The German snipers who dominated September and October were dead, hiding, or too cautious to be effective by December, killed or neutralized by a system that Zaitsev built and the Red Army replicated. The hunters had become hunted. The ruins that protected German marksmen concealed Soviet hunters trained specifically to kill them. The invisible enemy became visible through pattern analysis and systematic observation, and the sniper war at Stalingrad, which began with German superiority, ended with Soviet systematic victory, achieved not through better individual shooters, but through organized methodology that turned the German doctrine of individual excellence into fatal vulnerability against coordinated hunter-killer operations designed specifically to destroy it.